Howdy, folks. We're sitting here with Chris Thile. We're backstage here at the Kennedy Center. We're about to do a show tonight, and Chris is leading this 4-day shindig featuring a bunch of acts he's worked with all over the spectrum.
And some that I haven't
And
yet.
some that you have not yet worked with, yes, but that's the spirit of invention.
Indeed.
All right, so anyhow, so we're going to talk to you mostly about singing, and then we're going to sing a little bit, because that's what we do.
Awesome.
And anyhow, so let's just start from the beginning. You grew up in a musical household. I know, like, your dad played bass in Nickel Creek early on.
Yes.
And y'all sang together, right? Can you tell
And
me-
dad's a piano technician by trade, and then mom comes from a family of professional musicians, a lot of piano teachers. Her dad actually tuned pianos for a while, also taught composition.
Oh wow, I knew that.
He married a piano teacher and then divorced her and married another piano teacher.
He's got a type.
He has a type.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And so lots of music in the fam, and then music had a central place in the household for sure. Was always on, and being listened to as well. Not I think a lot of people have music on, and are not paying attention.
Right.
Whereas for us, if there was no specific activity going on, then people were kind of listening to music in the living room. So
Like,
it was.
did your parents teach you, like, guide you in how to listen to music and what to listen for? And
I don't think they had the words for it necessarily. Dad is a very good bass player, but opted not to pursue it professionally. He went instead for the piano technician career. So I think he never really said, okay, so here's like the form, like you listen for a form or you listen for, chord changes or whatever it is. But more that just you listen. Music is special and important, and when it's on, it's worth listening to.
yeah. Now, were your parents interested in bluegrass music? And how did you gravitate towards mandolin and bluegrass music?
So they were bit by the folk bug pretty hard. I remember a ton of Kingston Trio and Pete Seeger and things like that in the house. Now, Dad also had an extensive jazz vinyl collection, and that was kind of what he played. Is he sort of played jazz-ish bass. And straight up jazz bass.
Yeah.
But was interested in everything, and then public radio was on all the time, so there was a little bit of classical there, and certainly that was what the professional musicians in my family were interested in, was classical music. So it took them a second to actually realize that I was serious about music, because I think they kind of thought it was cute what was happening. Oh, he's into that hick music.
How did you find the mandolin? I mean, is that just something that you gravitated towards naturally?
When I was two, we started. I guess my dad tuned. This is how it worked. My dad tuned the piano of this fella John Moore. So he tuned. My dad tuned his mom's piano. And
Okay.
His mom said, "Do you guys like bluegrass music?" And Dad was like, "Sure, sure." And she said, "Well, my son plays bluegrass music every Saturday night at a pizza place in Carlsbad, which was called That Pizza Place." And so they started going every Saturday night. And John Moore, who I don't know if you've met him, but you know him.
I met him out at Rocky Grass. Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So John is a tremendous player.
Yes.
And actually a brilliant teacher. That's he really shines in the teaching department. In fact, what he does now is travels all around the world training horses. So you could imagine
that's serious.
Yeah,
you gotta know what you're doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you could imagine how good he was for a headstrong and cocky young buck such as myself.
Right. Clear communication, rules, boundaries.
Exactly.
be
No, you do it
methodical.
like this, and here's why.
Yeah, great.
And so after going to that pizza place and hearing them play for 2 or 3 years, I had been begging since we started going for a mandolin, starting when I was 2, because that's what John played. Very charismatic fellow as well, in addition to all of his skills. And I just wanted to be like him. And so, Mom, Dad, can I have a mandolin? But I was 2, so they didn't believe me.
Yeah.
They didn't believe that the interest was real. But after 3 years of relentless begging, I finally got one.
Okay. All right, so let's skip ahead to Nickel Creek.
Yeah.
Formed when you got. How old were you?
I was 8.
You were okay.
Yeah, I was 8 when Nickel Creek played its first show.
Was it at the same pizza place?
Actually, the first time the first time we all played together was definitely at that pizza place.
Uh-huh.
John, so both Sean, Nickel Creek's guitar player, and I were taking mandolin lessons from John Moore.
Okay.
And then Sarah was taking fiddle lessons from Dennis Kaplinger, who was also in that band.
Sure.
And so they would have the three of us up, and so we'd do things together with them.
Okay.
And then eventually, Sean and Sarah, I think I forget who it was, but someone who was putting on a local festival said, "Hey, could you," to Sean and Sarah's parents, "do you think Sean and Sarah could like find someone else to do a kid band with?" And so they called me. And then since Dad could play bass, it's hard to find little kids who play the stand-up bass.
Sure.
So Dad played bass, and it was the three of us. And I was 8 when that happened, and we kept doing it for quite a long time.
Quite a long time, yes. I saw you last year.
Yes, indeed. We are
Brooklyn,
still
too.
doing it. Yeah.
That's awesome.